G'day and welcome back to the 40 channel. So, did I say that I was finished with the wiring? Look, I'm nearly there. I've got a bit to learn about this 40. Righto, so this episode, I really hope to have this wiring absolutely complete. This wiring has taken me longer than I ever expected and has put me back on a whole lot of other projects that I wanted to get done on this cruiser. So I thought I'd be up to the stage where I'll be putting Scott's seats in and have the floor lined in and installing more bits around the dash and the interior. No, I'm still working with the wiring. Righto, so this is the next wiring loom. This wiring loom runs up through the chassis, down to the rear for my rear brake lights and blinkers, tail lights. It also comes up to pick up my fuel sender, a handbrake light, all that type of stuff. So because of that, we've wrapped it all. We just use normal electrical tape to wrap it. Then we're putting conduit over it, and then we're going to wrap that again. So to give it heaps of layers of protection, that way it's nice and safe and hopefully tucked up right in those chassis rails. Keep it all out of the harm's way. So if you just bend it back, it opens up that conduit and then just push your wiring through. Just keep working your way through. I didn't film much of this because it's pretty boring and who wants to see wiring, right? Get this in the car, we'll get on to more exciting stuff, I think. Right at the end of this loom, what I've actually done, you got the blue plug where you plug your harness in for all your rear lights, brake lights, tail lights and that. I've actually made up another harness, the white plug, which is where my trailer harness will plug into. So yeah, this will be a small little trailer harness, and the beauty of that is that if you've got a 7-pin flat plug or a 5-pin round plug or whatever it is, all you need to do is just change that little harness, plug it straight in, done. Once the conduit's on, just get my electrical tape, and we just wrap that as well. All this wiring is going to be more exposed than any other wiring on the vehicle. So we're just trying to keep it as protected as we possibly can. Righto, our second wiring loom's done. Let's go put it in the car. Feels like so long ago that I actually pulled these lights off. Funny enough, these were one of the first things that I sort of fixed up on my cruiser. The lenses were all cracked and faded and destroyed, so I bought new lenses. I think that was one of my first ever purchases. So as suggested, we're going to fit all the lights to the cruiser. We're going to plug all the electrical stuff in. We're going to connect the battery up. And we're just going to make sure that it all works. Now, yeah, we did bench test it all, so we bench tested it in the shed. But you never know when you're hooking everything back up in a car. You never know what can go wrong or what could not work. We could not get a good earth, or one of our wirings could get pinched, or I could have just stuffed up the wiring altogether. Who knows? So this is the only really way to find out. So we'll just sort of throw everything on, and technically it should work. So these are the original blinkers that we pulled off, and as you can see, the lenses are in pretty good condition. You could clean them up and they'd come up like absolute new. There's no cracks or damage to the lenses, but the rear parts here all faded. There's a whole lot of paint on there which you could probably clean up, that from overspray of something, I don't know. But this is our big issue here. So Have a look at these. These are a little ripper. These are fantastic. All Toyota and brand spanking new. So I'm pretty stoked with these ones. So they will go on. So I'm actually a little bit devastated at the moment. I've connected the battery up and gone to test the lights, and I have some very strange things happening. Completely not like it did on the bench test, which is why we do these tests, I guess. But yeah, I can't get my headlights to come on at all, which is really strange because they worked perfectly on the bench, connected up to the battery. My hazard lights work, they all blink, but when I go to turn the blinker stalk on, the blinker just stays on either side, doesn't actually blink. Yeah. Oh. I went into this a little bit too confident, I think, after bench testing it, thinking it was all solid as and right. We're not there. This wiring is just doing my head in. Start at one problem at a time, I suppose. Alright, so I figured out what's going on here. So here's the original blinker setup. You had a little earth wire which was attached to here, which pulled its earth directly from an earth wire. And then inside, these two blinkers are wired up together, and then our red one here. It's actually pulling its whole earth from the body, which is getting a good earth. But then we're wired all up separately in here. I just need to get my red and yellow, wire them together, and then plug them into my green with yellow. And my white wire actually goes to my red wire, and this earth wire, it doesn't do anything. What I can do is I can run that earth up into the bottom of the bolt there to give it a nice solid earth. So again, the old coloured wire thing has really caught me off guard and really thrown my head into a spin. Righto, so the hazard lights work all together now properly. Before this sort of wasn't working right. Now, these lights come on, which is good. If you've got an FJ40, don't go swap the wires like I did, because I can't say that that's how it's supposed to be. I'd say that these are genuine Toyota, plug straight into your FJ40 wiring loom, and you won't have the issue that I've had. It's just that I've got the 60 loom. So anyway, let's figure out the headlight issue now. Righto, so here's something that I've just found out. So here's my dash that I'm having some weird stuff going on with. I didn't look at this before, but if you look down here, they've actually had some type of issue because he's bridged over and soldered in something here. He's had a burnt out track on his circuit board, and he's bridged over here and soldered in here. I'm just running the multimeter over, and I'm not getting full connection with stuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is, luckily for me, I have a spare circuit board. So I'm going to swap the circuit boards out, and we'll just plug that straight in, and we'll see if that's the issue. Fingers crossed. If your gauges aren't quite straight on the front, we'll just loosen those bolts back off and we'll just readjust it. Clean the whole circuit board with contact cleaner, and very carefully got a Scotch-Brite pad and just cleaned around each one of these contact surfaces. This would be the best time to throw in some LED lights if you're going to throw them in, but I'm not going to do it. Maybe later down the track. Righto, fingers crossed Let's refit this and see if this works or not. No good. Righto, so we know the issue's not in the circuit board, but the good thing is we know that we have a good, solid, clean circuit board on the back of the dash. Problem solving. Just tackle one problem at a time and work your way through it. So I was pretty confident in my wiring loom. When I bench tested, I didn't actually have the dash plugged into it. So that was a bad decision on my part. So I should have done that. If you're going to bench test your wiring, don't do what I did. Make sure you have everything plugged in, including your dash. So now I'm paying for it. So I have to admit, I feel a little bit defeated at the moment. Spent all last night trying to figure out my problems with the wiring. My blinkers all work if the hazard lights are on, but they stay solid when I just flick one or the other. Thought, oh, it's got to be a bad earth, so I ran a dedicated earth, pulled all this apart, ran a dedicated earth straight to the earth, so it's not even to the chassis. Still no good, so something's going on with the blinkers. The headlights are doing some really strange stuff as well. When I turn the headlights on, they all work sort of as they should, but when I plug the dash in, the headlights stay on and do strange stuff. So really the only option is I've had to pull the whole wiring loom back out. I've just got it sitting in the footwell now, and I'm just tracing it out. So there's obviously something not quite right. Anyway, learn from my lessons. Don't get overconfident, and test and double test with everything plugged in. I feel like a real goose at the moment, but anyway, that's life. Might feel defeated, but I'm going to win this battle in the end. So I've got myself in the exact situation that I was trying to avoid. And the exact situation, and if you do all this on the bench and test it on the bench, then it should be right when it goes in here. Bow bow. Anyway, it's starting to get pretty late, it's starting to get dark. My dogs are barking, and I can hardly even see what colour's what colour's what now, so I'll have to pull up stumps and spend another whole day on just figuring this out. So wiring is really sucking up some time on this cruiser, more than I ever could have imagined. Anyway, as you can see, I'm certainly not an expert in it, but like anything, give it a go. Save yourself probably thousands of dollars if you don't set fire to it first. Righto, day 3 on trying to figure out how to make my lights work with original 40 switches and a 60 series loom. Alright, so the biggest problem I have is that the 40 series, as I've said before, is positively switched. The 60 series is negatively switched. To keep the original 60 series loom, which was already in here because I don't have a 40 series loom, and to make the 40 series light work, it's not going to happen. It cannot work. I found out no matter what I do, I can't make the 40 series light work. But I desperately want to have it look original on the dash. So I had a spare blower switch. I can wire up the spare blower switch. It has 2 separate positions that stay on, and I can make this work, swap the light plug over and have it look original and still make the lights work. That's the plan anyway. Righto, so I've just pushed everything back in, I've plugged everything back up. This is really the only way I can test it now. I'll reconnect the battery up, and I've been praying a lot, so. Alright, let's do it. Issues. Oh dear. Something's still quite not right. Righto, very, very excited. It all works. I finally figured it out. So at the end of the day, what it really came down to was all the switching. Had to all be negatively switched. All the wiring loom was spot on, even though I pulled it all back out, double checked everything, it was spot on to the wiring diagram. I'd done that right. And the way I got around that was I used a spare fan switch, rewired it up, did a jumper on the back of it. I didn't film it all, my GoPro was off, so luckily, because you would have seen very frustrated me. So I've made it all work. All my dash lights come on, all my tail lights and that come on. Pull that on, my headlights come on, yes! Flick that on, my high beams come on. Blinkers, hazards, all my hazard lights work. And my blinkers work. So the blinkers, when they're running on their own, they flash quite fast. But all I might need to do there is either change to like an LED flasher where it doesn't have such a load, or just increase the bulb capacity in the blinkers. So they've only got 10 watt bulbs in the blinkers that came with it standard. The old ones had 25 watt bulbs, so that could be the reason why they're flashing fast. But anyway, I'm absolutely stoked. This has been a monumental task getting this wiring right. As you saw in the last 2 episodes, we're working on wiring. And even before that, we've been doing wiring in the background, and this has probably been 3 full days of just trying to nut out over wiring diagrams. Multimeter is your best friend. Electricity is invisible, so this is the only way to see it. So you can constantly test all the way through it. And I was testing everything and it looked all okay, but I needed to swap the polarity. Anyway, that's it. Thank you so much, guys, for watching and enduring me through this episode. This is probably going to be a pretty painful episode for you guys to watch. End of the day, I cannot be happier. I really was hoping to get this wiring all done 3 days ago, and I was really hoping to get the interior started and some doors on and some trim on, but I knew that if I took my focus away, which I did for a little while, took my focus away a little bit just to get a break from it, put all the heater box and all that in, which all works as well, which is pretty cool. Heat gun, try to soften it up. It's hot. Excellent, so that heater hoses are in. Heating it up made all the difference in the world. To come back and refocus back on the wiring, because if I kept walking away from it and trying other little bits and pieces, it would always be there in the back of my mind. So today, it's done. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for your support. Really appreciate it. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment about any of the dumb stuff that I've done. But yeah, at the end of the day, swapping 60 series to 40 series and making all the 40 series switches work was a big effort for me. Righto guys, until next time, take care of yourselves.